$8.8 million and then almost $10 million launch in a 6-month period. Had a whole phone core team, went from selling $75 a month to $1,000 a month. At the end of the day, it's relationships. It's really fun making money with your friends and heroes and mentors. I feel very blessed that I've just had this trajectory. I was like, I want to make $50,000 a year and maybe be a lawyer.
This is the Content Capitalists Podcast. We talk to business owners who've used video to grow their businesses to $1 million a year or more. How they did it, what worked, what didn't. Welcome to the Content Capitalists with your host, Ken Okazaki.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Content Capitalist Podcast, where I have conversations with people doing at least $1 million in their business, many times a lot more. Today, I've got someone really special with me. This is somebody who I met quite recently, and the reason I knew she was important to get in touch with is because when I saw her, it was at a party, and about 5 or 6 people who I respect and I've been following and working with were surrounding her, and she's sitting there right in the middle. So I knew I had to approach her. The more research I did, the more I realized I've got to bring her on the show. So here she is. You may have already heard of her, Amber Spears. Welcome to the Content Capitalist Podcast.
Thanks, Ken. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to join you today.
Absolutely. Now, Amber, we were just having a chat about some big life changes you've had, and I appreciate all of that. But what my audience is especially interested in, and I think that a lot of people, based on what I've done research on you and found, are going to have already been affected by you in one way or another through the products and the launches that you've been involved in. So before we jump into your backstory and things like that, would you mind spending a minute or two just giving a kind of a brief overview of some of the maybe the higher profile projects you've worked with or the clients you've worked with and what you've done for them?
Yeah, of course. I think, what kind of put me on the map was Truth About Cancer, that launch. And, I want to make it clear that any of the things that I'm sharing, it's not something that I did by myself. This is something that we did with a team. Jonathan Hunsaker was the owner at the time, and he coined the docuseries model and invented it. And he's a genius. He's a marketing genius now at Organics and a couple other companies. So he thought of it. He created an amazing series, amazing program. And, because of that, I think it had the success that it had, the novelty of it. It was really like a summit that's a movie. And that was kind of like the first time that we had seen that. And now, Justin Bieber has a docuseries, right? So it's a really common thing. And it was also around a very intense topic, which is cancer. So I think that also added to the virality of it, which was a unique thing around a very heavy topic that if you've had cancer, somebody that has had cancer or passed from cancer, it's going to be of interest. And there's also the fear of getting it in the future, right? So it's a very intense topic. So I think what was unique about my role in that is that, they had talked to me after the first one that they did. So they did a first launch, I believe was around like 400, 500,000. And then they did another launch where they took the series from 11 episodes to 9 and it did 1.2 million. And then they brought me in. And what's unique about me is that I have a very extensive sales background. I started door to door. Then I went into phone rooms, ran phone rooms. So like my experience, I think, is really what helped propel that in a sales perspective, because it was now a proven model that it worked for affiliates and it had something there. And then using my sales background and just my tenacity on the phone, along with some other really good people around me, like Jamie Maturano and others that, were also working the phones, also working leads. It was just this combination of things that went viral. We did 8.8 million and then a 8.8 million and 9.9 million-ish, around almost $10 million launch in a 6-month period. So just back to back, relaunching it and continuing to optimize, which is another thing that I think that a lot of docuseries summits launches fail to do, is continue to optimize that series or optimize what they're doing. They just kind of recycle the same email swipes, the same look of it. They don't do what they were willing to do, which was spend a lot of money and time in between the launches doing it and really making it better in terms of the customer experience and the affiliate experience. So that was what really put me on the map. And after that, we did Mark Hyman's launch, which did, almost $6 million. That was the first time that anybody did a docuseries launch with a supplement added to it. And again, you have all these things that matter. You have an amazing team. You have Mark, who is already a 10-time New York Times bestselling author. Drew, who was the CEO, who is a genius, a really amazing content team around them, his credibility. And then we did Broken Brain, which is all about the brain, but a big portion of that was Alzheimer's. It was people who were afraid of getting dementia and Alzheimer's. It was a big push again. So when I look at the trends of what a lot of these series do, and I've worked on over 50, either we push them ourselves or we consulted on them, the trend that I keep seeing from these is for it to really get the attention and the virality and the sales and the reach, it needs to be over a topic that is really, really compelling. Cancer does amazingly well. Alzheimer's does amazingly well. COVID does amazingly well. Conspiracy, Jeff Hayes, a dear friend of mine, he's worked and exposed so many things in the industry that, he can't do paid media at all for a lot of his series, but there is this virality to it in terms of it's scary. It's scary to believe that the government is, potentially putting you in danger for, things like COVID or vaccines or, what have you, that there is or cryptocurrency was another one that crushed it with these different docuseries like Nate Hopkins or him. So the ones that I've seen not do great, diabetes, general kind of health stuff like paleo, a bunch of people jumped on the bandwagon and tried to do it, but there wasn't that dangerous element. There wasn't that fear-based thing or like, I have to know because it's an emerging trend type thing. So across the board, those are some of the learnings that we've had. And we've worked with, we got our foothold in with docuseries launches, and then we've gone on to work with so many people. Like ClickBank's been a client for years. Agora's been a client for years. I've worked with almost every subsidiary inside of Agora, ChiliPad, Beekeepers Naturals, you've name it. We've worked with them in the space, whether we've trained their teams or been their affiliate managers or been their agency of record. We've been very fortunate to work with some amazing people. And I think the golden thread throughout everything is I am a salesperson through and through. That is what I'm good at. I'm good at building relationships, point, period, the end. I'm not somebody who's just good at talking and then I do nothing with it. I'm good at talking. I get to know you. I figure out how I can help you, where my gifts and talents will support you, and then I implement it, right? And so I think that that's a big difference between a lot of the affiliate marketers out there. Either they're takers and they want something from you and they're only talking to you because they want access to your list, access to your audience. They want something from you. They want you to promote their offers, or they're just really nice people that love talking and love hanging out at traffic and conversion and drinking at the bars and enjoying themselves, but they can't close the door to save their life. So this is a big thing that I think we kind of stepped into that gap where we're amazing people, we're nice people, but we're also here to grow the businesses, grow the companies we work with, and work with companies that have good products and services. And we believe they should own more market share. So we're going to be aggressive and persistent in making sure that message gets out there.
Wow. Thank you for that. You gave so much more information than I was expecting on this first one. It's perfect. And I'm trying to keep as many mental notes as possible. One thing stood out to me though, is that when you got started, well, I'm not sure if it was your first one, but docuseries seems to be something that you've done repeatedly. I'm trying to understand a bit of the model behind that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle back to that in a second. But when you listed the people you're working with, names that I think everybody's heard of, or most people at least who are in any type of internet marketing space or online business, I'd like to take us back to before you approach these brands or work with them. You mentioned that you started in sales. Could you tell us about the very first time you had anything to do with affiliate marketing or working with some of these bigger names? How did you transition from, trading time for money or commissions, maybe one-on-one, to actually organizing yourself into a business, working with bigger companies, and kind of the first step to get to where you are now?
Yeah. So I started my sales career selling search engine optimization door to door to companies that did not want them about 15 years ago when they were paying Dex and Yellow Pages, and they thought that Google was just something that you'd use for your kid's research paper.
Were you working directly with the search engines, or was there some agency in between that you're working with?
Yeah, I was representing an agency. So At the time, we were one of the first SEO companies and agencies, that actually scaled to that size. I was the first employee of that company. So, um, yeah, that's where I got my teeth. My business partner in East Fifth was actually my boss then. So she knew that I was a rainmaker. Yeah. So
This is so interesting to me. There's that movie, The Interns. When those guys go work at Google and then they get sent to go door to door selling exactly what you're talking about. I have no idea what a conversation like that would look like. Could you, like, let's say I have a shoe shop, right? And you're trying to sell me on search engine optimization. Like, what's the approach? Could you just like literally knock knock and here I am? Like, what are you gonna say to me? Like, I'm not expecting you, right?
yeah, no, they definitely fucking did not want me in there. Oops, sorry, I forget. Sometimes
It's all, you're good. You're good.
they didn't want me in there first and foremost. It's funny that you asked me that because the way I didn't sell anything, I was all commissioned for 3 months. I got to the point where like I was like still a senior in college and I couldn't pay my rent because I had like believed the reason why I even started doing SEO in the first place because I'm a first generation college student, first person in my family on both sides to go to college, and so I was fully funded. I was a McNair Scholar, a Dorrance Scholar, and I was also an Eller College of Business person. I was one of the first people with a political science major, non-business major allowed into the program, primarily because I was a McNair and Dorrance Scholar. So while I was there, one of our adjunct teachers who had sold his company to Oracle for like almost $1 billion, he told us that the next thing, if he had to pick, would be search engine optimization because he believed that Google was going to be the future. And so I remembered that when I was looking for jobs in between studying for what I wanted to become a lawyer. So I was going to study for the LSAT. And because I was homeschooled before that, I didn't know math. I still don't know math. I know money math. I'm good at that. Like everything else, I don't know how to do anything. I didn't learn science. So I knew I'd need to spend time studying for the LSAT. And I saw an ad in Craigslist that said, "We cracked Google's algorithm." And I remember my adjunct professor saying, "Anybody who can crack Google's algorithm will win." And so I applied. I was their first employee and went off from that. And so if I walked into a business, basically what I do is as I drive up to a complex, park my car, get out, and I'd walk around, walk in, and I'd start chatting with them. They did not want to chat with me. What I learned after 3 months is in the state of Arizona, there's a law that if you ask for water in certain times of the year, they have to give it to you, which at this time was in the summertime. And so I'd come in and ask for water. By law, they have to give it to you. So when I'm in there, I'm very charming. I can make my way in. And I learned really quickly, who was the boss. I'd ask who was in charge. I'd see what direction they'd look in. If they didn't look, it was usually them. I'd look for watch.
So you're doing espionage work here.
Yeah, I look for watches. I want to see who's wearing a watch. I want to see who's in the back. I want to, you know what I mean? There's a feeling when you're doing that many door knockings, you just pick it up, tonality. And then I start asking them, like, great business you have here. How do you grow it? Sometimes if I thought it would be a good client, I'd call, Lona or Mike and be like, this is the company. Can you do a little research? Oh, I see they're on Dex or on Yellow Pages. They're doing this. We kind of have an idea because we priced out Dex and Yellow Pages, how much that would cost. So I kind of had an idea of how much they'd be paying per year. I'd be asking them, how's that working for you? Is it continue to be effective for you? Which I knew it wasn't. Are you doing other types are you doing Google ads? Are you doing, what kind of things are you doing to generate business flyers? And so from there, we just kind of, work it backwards. And we started selling $75 a month SEO packages. And we had call tracking on it. So once we started getting those going, I started getting a lot of confidence. So I was like, man, for $75 a month, dude, my clients are getting like 300 calls a month. Like, it's insane because we had cracked the algorithm. We would crush it. Attorney Tucson would be number one in like 2 weeks. It was like insane. Vet Tucson, it didn't matter. We're just like slaying it. I think we had probably like 400 link builders in India by that time. Like, it was insane, right? So it was like, I started getting more confidence. And that's like a golden thread in my career is like, I can't sell for something I don't feel excited about or that it's not useful. I like lose all energy for it. And I've tried it, I worked with Ripoff Report. Like, I've worked with so many people in my background. So I have to have a feeling that this is important. And I felt that way about Truth About Cancer. I felt like this was an important thing for people to know about, that you don't have to just cut and burn everything out when you're treating cancer. There also has to be another approach that we can cut and we can burn things out and we can do chemo, but we should also be looking at alternative methods that even can support that type of thing, like changing your eating and making sure that you're gluten-free or your anti-inflammatory foods or whatever, right? So that's a golden thread for my career. And so once I started getting that confidence, I'd come in and I'd be like, listen, dude, I know you're spending 20K a month. And I promise you, the reason why your friend over here is eating you alive right now is because I'm working with him. And look at the call list. Look at the freaking call list, dude. We're killing it for him, right? You want to beat him? He's paying 10 grand a month. You need to pay us 20. Why not? Dex is dying, whether you want to believe it or not. That's the end. Like, you're still clinging on to it. And so let's move forward into the future. Let me walk you in here and let's help you, right? And so we come in, we do audits. That's always been very useful. We did it at our agency. It's always been good. It's like doing audits, what everyone else did. You have to be careful not to shit on everything that their past people are doing, right? Because they're a business just like ours, and I don't want to come in and win just because I can poke holes. Anyone can poke holes in my business too. That is what it is. So to me, it's about what's useful to them, and like, what are they not doing that's leaving money on the table or that's weak that I can come in and I know for certain that we can do better, that will move the needle for them. So that's basically how we started, and then ended up opening 3 offices with them in 2 states. And I ran their Phoenix office, opened it for them, had a whole phone floor team, went from selling $75 a month to $1,000 a month. That blew my mind. Then went to 1,000 to 10,000.
And what year was
that
this?
blew my mind.
Because I
2009,
okay.
2008, 2009.
So, and at this point, like you said, you're going to college, 3 months, no sales, finally got a couple. The success helped you to gain more confidence, change your approach to selling. Now you're rocking 3 offices. Now, what was this time span from when you started the job to when you got put in charge of these offices?
Like less, like 2 years, maybe.
Wow. Okay. So you started in 2007 then, right? 2007 was college started, and then 2009 you got these offices.
Yeah, 2009, 2010ish. Yeah, because I was a 5th-year senior, so I had started doing it when I was a senior, and then I was a 5th-year senior, and then eventually I had to drop out.
Oh, so you dropped out. That's the question I was leading to. Is
Oh, sorry, no, I had to drop out of doing other things that I was doing. I got a college degree, but yeah, I was also a nightclub promoter. No, I was also a nightclub promoter. I made my own nightclub entertainment business. If you look it up, it was Set Out Loud Entertainment. I think it'll still come up through these big parties. So yeah, I stopped doing that. I dropped out of doing that, and then went full time into marketing. The other reason too is I realized in that course of time I had many attorney clients, and at the time I was still selling them and working with them until I became a manager and kind of dropped my book of business to other people. And I asked them, like, are you happy with being a lawyer? Would you do it again? And literally only one said yes. The rest of them were like, I'm miserable, man. Don't do it. And I was like, wow. Well, meanwhile, I'm having a lot of fun doing marketing. Like I was like having so much fun. I mean, my clients like love me. I go out in their boats. We're going to like strip clubs, I'm having a ball, dude. Like, I was working really hard, but like I also started making, good money to the point where I was like, wow, like I could go back to law school and work my tail off and go like 200 grand in a debt to make like 150 grand a year, which was kind of what I was making there, which at the time was like insane. I remember, I was young, and I was like, if I could just make $50,000 a year, that's more than anybody I knew made. Like, that'd be insane, right? Like, and now I'm here and I'm like young, and I'm like, wow, dude, like, it's like, I feel very blessed that I've just had this trajectory. It's not something that I ever was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a marketer. I was like, I want to make $50,000 a year and maybe be a lawyer. Like, very interesting to be in the place where I'm at.
So we're all the way up to 2009 by now. You got a bit of success managing a few offices. What was the next pivotal moment for you?
I hated being a manager.
I'd high five you right now if I could reach through this screen.
Yeah, dude.
I love my managers and my team so much because I know that I don't want them to ever drop the ball and make me have to step back into that. It's something I hate.
I'm not, and I'll tell you, I'm not a great manager. I think that's the other thing is I have so much respect and admiration for people whose brains work in that way. Mine don't. And that started really burning me out. I didn't last very long as a manager. I think I lasted 2 years. And in that time, I just really started hungering for freedom. I found Simon Black's newsletter, his Sovereign Man newsletter, and I started dreaming about, getting a second passport, all that stuff. And then from there, I found Early to Rise, and I started learning about money, and then was going through a really hard breakup. I was tired of being a manager. I went back to Mike Malone and I was like, dude, I need to go back into sales. And they're like, great, you can't get your existing book of business. You have to start all over again. And I was like, what? That sucks, right? And so I felt kind of trapped. And in hindsight, found out that they were going through divorce. So in their mind, it would have been the worst thing ever if I had left as a manager. So like I didn't know all this stuff was going on, but I think it was all designed to get me to apply to Early to Rise. Mark Ford had just sold it. Mark Ford and Agora had just sold it to Craig Ballantyne and Matt Smith. So I was one of the first employees that they hired. So I applied from a long form sales letter. It worked on me and moved my life from Phoenix to Denver in 2 weeks to essentially like get my whole thing, get my whole life started learning the world's greatest secret, which was copywriting. And I did that for almost a year. And in that time, I was like, wow, I love to write. Don't want to be a copywriter. I don't get to talk to anybody. Like, this sucks. And like, I wasn't making good money. I think my base, if I recall, was like 22,500 a year plus commission, but I wasn't getting any commission because I wasn't a senior copywriter. And so I burned through all my savings, and I finally came to them and I was like, dude, I am struggling. Like, I need help. I don't like doing copy either. And they're like, well, we have this thing called affiliate marketing. If you want to take over a program, no one's taking it over. You can do it. And so I did, and I blew it up. Like I just started working the phones. I did what I knew. I just started working the phones and trying to meet people in person. And people were like, everyone just Skypes me or sends me emails. Like, why are you calling me? I called Mike Geary. I had no idea who he was. I was like, this guy makes us a lot of money. I'm like, call him. Like, this guy Jeff Radich makes us a lot of money too. I'm gonna call him. Like, I just started, and they were like, "Why are you calling?"
Yeah, so you're just like, when you're calling them, you're
Yeah.
just letting them know, hey, we got this affiliate program. These are the commissions.
Yeah.
Do you want, like you should get in.
Yeah.
Like you're just calling people up, getting them to sign up to affiliate programs and to promote. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, it was like, hey, Mike, like, I know you have a lot of respect for Craig. You guys are good friends. He has a new offer that he's coming out with. We've tested it internally. It looks good. You've made X amount of money. Yeah.
That company's affiliate things. It wasn't like an affiliate management agency. It was just their own stuff, right?
No, I was managing theirs, and it was stagnant. So it went from like, this was a long time ago, but my recollection of it was like we were doing like 10,000 a month, and we did it 300,000 a month within 3 months. Like,
Wow.
It was just me working it was just working the phones.
Well, no wonder they could only pay you $20,000 a year in salary.
Right. Well, they were making money from like paid traffic and like their newsletters, their subscriptions. Like, they bought a good business and they're smart. They just, the affiliate program wasn't something that they had ever made a lot of money on. That's something that Agora hired me for. They their affiliate programs they have good offers. They just didn't have a lot of attention to that because they're much better at paid media. So, that wasn't a focus. So it was just.
You've probably run through and seen a lot of different affiliate programs by now, probably hundreds, maybe thousands. What do you see as the biggest difference between the ones that succeed and don't? Is it the offer? Is it the team? Is it the timing? Is it the systems and the automations involved? Like, there's a lot of things involved, but what do you think is and I know it's going to be a bit of everything, but what's the first thing you're going to go to and start shifting to move the needle in the opposite direction if it's failing?
Yeah, well, I think it's always two things. It's the structure and the people. And, I always look at that as like a table. If it's two legs on the table, if it's wobbly, we need to look at both things. What is the structure of it? And the structure of it, I mean, how well is the offer converting? What is actually happening in terms of the commission amounts? Like, are you in industry best practice? Are you below industry standard? Are you above it? Like, how is the program itself structured? Is it motivating and attractive to affiliate partners, right? So that's the part that most people are going to look at first because it's very data driven. And then the other side of it is always the people, which is the people running the program itself. What I find most times is the people running the program, they usually are not trained salespeople. They're just good with people. So a huge, huge area of improvement there. They can either be trained up and learn how to do that, They need to have negotiating skills. They need to really understand numbers in terms of like what's really happening with the affiliates. How do you push them? How do you motivate them? To get psychology in there. The other thing is like the people that are part of their affiliate program, meaning their affiliates themselves. What is your relationship with them like? Right? When's the last time you talked to them? When's the last time that you promoted them? When's the last time you referred them to somebody? How are you treating them? Because they have thousands of different options to promote from, including their own offers. So how are you jumping ahead of the pack? How are you treating these people? How quickly are you paying them? How much? Right? So it's just the two things I always come in and look at. So if I see an affiliate program that's struggling, the first thing I'm going to do is like do an audit. How is everything performing? How's it been performing over time? How was it last year? How is it this year? Like, really looking at that whole, how much are you paying compared to everybody else that's in your niche? Is it under or over? How quickly, like, do you have a good track record of paying? If you're on ClickBank, you get paid every 2 weeks, but if you're not, what's your pay structure like? I see so many people that I come in and work with and like, oh yeah, we have a 60-day pay period. And it's just like, dude, like why? Your refunds are 1%. Like that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like why? Like immediately no. Like this, the structure of this is not competitive, so it needs to change, right? So just kind of like, but part of that is like they don't know, right? So they need somebody like me to come in that's looked at thousands of these and tell them, right? So it's like, I think that's another thing. It's like, don't be hard on yourself. A lot of times you just don't know. You can do research, and you can kind of figure that out. But the other part is a team. And like, frankly, if you have all the structure in the world and you don't have a hungry, motivated, competent salesperson in that role, it's just not going to grow. And I hear so many people are like, oh, my affiliate program's like a roller coaster. I'm like, that's interesting because that's your problem. A lot of my other clients are not having that experience. They're doing $1 million or more a month on that because they have a great offer, great team, and they have, really competent people in that driver's seat, and they are killing it, right? Like, so I know some people are doing 10 million a month, right? Like that's an outlier, but that's what can happen if you have the structure of the people that are balanced, right? And of course, within all of that comes KPIs and scorecards and roles. And like, eventually you can't have one person doing everything. You want the rainmaker to be on the phone, going to conferences, closing deals. And then you want somebody who's a project manager to be handling that. Some people add a growth manager in that's just responsible for farming that relationship. They're just mining the data and talking to that person on a regular basis. Oh, hey, you promoted this offer. Well, we have a new offer that's very similar to that. So perhaps you should try this. Be one of the first people to try it. We'll give you an increased commission or CPA to try it, right? So it's just like, eventually you want to grow it into a department. And I think that's the other thing that most people fail at is they're like, oh, well, I'm making money with my friends. It's an algorithm just like anything else, right? If you're learning YouTube, you wouldn't just half-ass it. If you're like, I'm committed, you'd be reading books on it. You'd be like studying it. You would be making sure that you have the best people to work with to mentor you. Like, you'd buy your stuff, right? So you can look good on camera. Like you'd invest in it. What most people do is they come in like, I'm making money with my friends and I'll just use my paid media funnel and it didn't work. It doesn't work. It's not going to work for my company. Move on. And you're like, wow, dude, you're leaving so much money on the table because you're not respecting it and you're not building it out and learning the algorithm that this is, because it has its own language, cadence, tempo, and so that's really what I see when I come in and what I try to train my clients on is looking at the two sides.
I hear you saying a few times, train my clients, consult my clients, help my clients. Could you talk a bit about what is your range of services? Do you have a situation where you actually like place staff for them or contractors or just training only, information only? There must be a wide gamut. Tell me what's the most popular thing that people jump on when they hear like, this is how I work with you.
Yeah. I would say we just rolled out, well, not just, we've been doing it quietly for like the last year, where we find and recruit and train affiliate managers. So it's been it's gone so well because you have someone like me who's a trained salesperson. You have Alona, my business partner, who's had multiple companies and been very successful. Her whole thing is KPIs, quotas, structures, operations, who does the outreach and does everything, right? So she's been working with me for many years. I am her archetype for like that ideal person. Mm-hmm. So she's put me through every single thing through the ringer. I've done Myers-Briggs, I've done Colby, I've done everything. And then before we started this service, we went out and found 100 different affiliate managers that we considered to be some of the best performing, worst performing in the industry. And we got a really clear outline also by testing them of what types of candidates are ideal for these different roles. So we come armed with a ton of knowledge. So we can find and train affiliate managers. So even if you're coming in with a ton of knowledge, let's say we hire a really experienced affiliate manager, there's still a lot of training that they could benefit from. You know, like I know somebody that came into the program at 22 years of experience, been doing affiliate marketing since the days of porn, and she still learned a ton, right? So it's like they still need support.
Sorry, did you say days of porn?
Yeah, doing like porn sites and stuff. That was like really where kind of like the first affiliate started.
Oh, wait, so there's they had affiliate programs too?
Mm-hmm.
No way. You know, here's something interesting, and I interviewed a few people who tell me how porn got them into internet marketing. And the thing I'm realizing is that porn drives so much technology forward. It's camera technology, it's streaming speeds, right? It's video platforms, it's payment systems, it's now I'm finding affiliate marketing.
Continuity.
Yeah, continuity. There you go. Upsells, exit pop-up sales. I mean, what do they say? They say they should ClickFunnels is probably based off of like something a porn site started, right? The whole concept of building a funnel. And wow. I think the only thing they don't do, well, I wouldn't know actually because I've never subscribed, but they probably the only thing they don't do is like tons of email marketing because nobody wants their inbox filled with porn stuff.
Totally, dude. Totally, 100%. But I've never gotten why you don't start selling dildos and like stuff to them. You know what I mean? Like based on their search preferences, like why are you not selling fleshlights and like all that stuff? Like I don't know. I mean, I'm not subscribed to Pornhub or anything, but like I think that would make sense. I don't think they do email marketing for that reason because you don't want your wife or somebody looking and being like, "What is this email from?" But like, I just don't understand why they don't sell additional services. Maybe because they're making so much money on ads and continuity, they don't need to. But certainly, I think they leave a lot of money on the table.
And the model really flipped too. And I'm just thinking about this for the first time. You know how people used to be like, if you want to watch my super secret course, then you got to pay, right? And that's how porn was. Like, if you want to see this video, you got to pay. But now it's, from what I understand, pretty much everything, there's tons of free sites and they make all their money from just traffic. People see ads. And that's a lot of how information is being sold nowadays too. People give away their information for free. And then they sell access to their list. They sell affiliate programs like what you're talking about. They sell banner space. And they do still sell their paid courses. But the majority of people that see the content, at least, like short form what's going on social media, is 100% free. And the quality is not worse necessarily. It's just more curated for a wider audience. That is interesting. I'm seeing so many parallels now.
Now it's going back to OnlyFans, though. You know what I mean? Like the pendulum swings. I remember when I first started, it was like long form was a thing. And then it was like VSLs were the only way that you could compete. And then now it's like a hybrid page. Like and then the VSLs came back with a vengeance, right? So it's just like, I think a pendulum swings because you're going back to paid content with the OnlyFans stuff and Patreon and Substack. And you know what I mean? So you're kind of going back to that kind of curated tribal, very curated content type thing. So it's interesting. I've been in it long enough now where I'm starting to see the patterns and the ebbs and flows, which is nice. Because for years I was like, I'm a chicken with my head cut off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, I have conversations and the kind of stuff we talk about, I feel old because there's some people I bring on here and they're just like, what's Skype?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
whoa.
what?
Yeah.
And then in my mind, I'm thinking like ICQ, and do you remember that?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, no. Now I've done it again. It's like the original chat in like social chat platform. It looks like a daisy butterfly. No, a daisy flower. That's the logo.
Well, in your defense, I was homeschooled. My dad was a fundamentalist style Baptist preacher who did not allow us to watch TV. Certainly we're not allowed to use internet. I remember dial-up, but I could not use that. I couldn't listen to the radio. I could do nothing until I went to high school. So I've missed a lot of things that a lot of other people, MTV was so new, foreign to me. And like everyone's like, Michael Jackson, so I didn't know. So you might be.
I grew up similar though. It was actually similar. And that'll be another episode where I'll unpack, some of that stuff. But it was really similar to what you described there. And the thing that actually turned my life around and realized that I wanted to do something a bit more, what my parents would say worldly, was when I discovered the internet. I realized, hey, this is not normal. And I want to do other stuff too. But that's a totally different story. This one's about you. I'd love to hear a little bit from you about your experience with content creation. And I know that you've mentioned copywriting, which is a form of content creation. But can you give me kind of the gamut of what's worked for you, what you've seen work for your clients when it comes to anything on social media, paid media, things like that? Because you've been involved in a variety of businesses. What are you seeing working? What are the mistakes you're seeing in content creation?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked me about Truth About Cancer because I want to answer that for a minute. I remember when John and Mark first came to me, asking me to help them, do the launch. I was very skeptical because I was like, what? Why would we give them free access to this and then ask them to buy it later, right? That doesn't make sense. And I think they really nailed it on the head where it's that feeling of reciprocity, right? Like that feeling of you gave me all this incredibly valuable information I'm not seeing anywhere else. And on top of that, they gave so much content that it was impossible to watch all these episodes and do all those things. So you want more. They gave their best stuff up front. They really did. And I think that's what I keep seeing consistently working now. Like it still works, right? Like when you're talking about the TikTok short, the TikTok shorts and all these other things, like they're giving away really valuable content for free. And there's that feeling of reciprocity where you're like, okay, like, if this guy is going to give me this type of content for free and I'm going to learn it, implement it, make some money, in my mind, I've already like kind of owe him, right, for this because he's helped me grow my business or grow my mind or like improve my squat or whatever it is for absolutely free. And the rise of like the personal brand, I think is just so important. I think before, and that's something that I'm really focused on for 2023, is, I hired Liz Germain. We're going to be working together for YouTube. Will Silva and Josh Snow just bought affiliatemarketing.com. I'm going to be doing a ton of content for them. I filmed a course for Kajabi that's going to be released next year. I'm in talks with doing a course with Founder, just spending a ton of money building my own personal brand and my own audience, because that's what I'm seeing time after time after time is like what's working for my clients is continuing to give away great content for free and to grow their personal brands, right? And like there is some importance of growing like the business brand, but I just think the rise of personal brands is just so, so, so important. And it's something that I'm doubling down on next year. And I think that I really understood it when I saw what Truth About Cancer did, right? Because I was like, wow, this works, right? And it just continued to work in whatever format, you're doubling down on, whether it's, Instagram Reels or TikToks, or you're doing everything. So you want to be omnipresent across all the channels. I think omnipresence is important, but what I'm seeing from my clients is like, usually they try to do everything all at once. And there is an algorithm to each one of these platforms. So I think it's really important to pick one thing and to really focus on it. I know every entrepreneur listening to this, like that's not what I want to hear. But if you want to know what's working, that's what's working. What's working is the people that are scaling is they're picking one format, that one algorithm, one platform that they're doubling down on, are committing to learning. And then once you really start to get scale there, then if you want to edit and put stuff other places, you can. You're just not going to get the growth, but you are going to get a lot of experience. You're going to see what's working on these different platforms, and like you're going to start getting signals of what could work on the other ones. And then you start now you have the money to bring in a team. Let's say you started with YouTube. Now you have the money to build a team that's really proficient at TikTok, right? So you start learning that algorithm. What I'm seeing is like, I think omnipresence is important. I think that you should be on all channels, but I don't think, in my opinion, in looking at the backs of my clients and the back ends of what's really working, is they found one channel, dominated it, grew it, and then they started adding all the other ones. And like and I saw a lot of them do it all at once too. They were doing it all at once and they just weren't getting, they were seeing their friends like, oh my God, Kelly and Petrucci's video just got 1 million views. Why not mine? I'm like, well, dude, because you have no idea why she got 1 million views. You don't know. You have no idea because you don't really know this algorithm like the back of your hand. And it's impossible to know them all at once, right? All at the same time. So, that's what I think is really working. And I'm doubling down on my personal brand. I'll be doing YouTube. That's the format that I'm choosing.
That's amazing. And YouTube is the gorilla in the room. Like they've been around they weren't the first, but they've been around for longer than anyone. They got the backing of Google. they're not going away, period. And also, they've proven recently they're very nimble, still launching YouTube Shorts off the back of TikTok success, right? So that's that is interesting. TikTok is they're a funny thing. They used to be Musically, right, and then they got bought, and it's just gone up and down, and then now there's the whole China thing. So I think good for you if you're on TikTok and you're crushing it. Also, you're gonna want to put a few more legs in that model. It's not really a business model to just get leads from TikTok. It's a trend, I believe, and it may or may not stick around. I want to ask you a question. Now, everything I've heard from you is like gold, and I'm recording this. I'm going to watch it again and take a bunch of notes on it. But if you don't mind, I want to hear what are some of the mistakes that you made along the way when building your businesses, because we all have them. And I think everybody's Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn looks like, like the trailer, the what do you call it? The highlights reel from a football game, right? Yeah. I want to see a couple fumbles, if you don't mind, so that people in the audience can learn from those as well.
I love this question. I have so many. So first and foremost, my companies, both of them have been built on all referral, which is a beautiful thing because it shows that we do good work. Unfortunately, it means that we haven't scaled to the point that we want to scale. Marketing has always been our weakness. And people are always like, Amber, like, if I don't get it, you're a marketing company. That's not true. I'm a sales company. I'm a sales training company. My other company is a mastermind. So what I'm really great at the end of the day, more than anything, is relationships. That's the reason why I get great referrals. I have longevity in the space. And our clients get amazing results. So that in itself is why we get referrals. If I could do it again, I would have done what I'm doing now, which is hiring a CMO, which we've never had, right? For both of my companies, and really getting a lot more serious around getting better at marketing, because our closing ratio for sales is insane. Our retention is insane. We have a monthly membership group for people that are committed to growing their reach and their revenue with affiliate marketing. And we launched it in April of 2020 because I felt like we did not know at that time what was going to happen with our economy. And so I built it. Our clients have been asking me for years, like, can you just do something that's a little lower ticket where more of us can be in it? So we launched it, and we have a 1.3% attrition rate per month, which is insane for a monthly program that's $997 a month, or we give them a really good deal for annual. It's like $6,000 for the year, which includes a ticket to our live event called Deal Making Live. So like our results speak for themselves. Our testimonials are insane, but like we never really got good at marketing. And that's something that I'm committing to solving this year because it's stunted the growth of our company tremendously. So I would say that's mistake number one. I think the other mistake that I've made, especially with clients, is not quite understanding or giving myself time in terms of their offers. So, a client would come to me because they're based on referral and I love their products and I love them, but their marketing just wasn't up to par. So it makes it really difficult to get it to scale with affiliates because, that the offer has to convert. At the end of the day, conversion is king. And if you can't convert well and you can't pay affiliates enough to make it worth their time, you have two types of affiliates. You have mission-based affiliates and you have money-based affiliates, right? Because we're not in the business of charity. So if you have mission-based, that's only about 10% of the market. You're promoting me because you like me, you think I'm great, you think my products are great, and you promote me anyways because we're buddies or whatever, you care about me. And if you make enough money, great. If not, it is what it is. You'll try it again next year. And then there's the money affiliates where like they have very specific metrics where if they're going to promote your offer, by default, it better be a good product, right? Because they don't want to get in trouble with FTC and they care about their list, et cetera, et cetera. But it's got to convert well. It has to make sense. So they're not going to keep promoting you unless it does. And so I didn't really understand that very early on in my career. And I took on clients that, in hindsight, should have spent money on marketing instead of spent money on me, right? Because I'm great at pouring gasoline on a fire and blowing it up. And so now if we do take on a client, we shuttered the agency about 2 years ago because, candidly, we were killing it on the agency side, but I was really tired and I was ready for a change. And so we rolled out our own products quietly, partnered with Brad Howard, who's like Midas Touch, and we started doing well. And then my former partner, not my business partner, but my partner took her own life and it like shattered my world. And so I took time to like do all these other things. She died in November 2019. And That's why, I started staying at home, and then COVID hit and I was like, wow, I need to find a different way to lead gen for our company other than referrals or me speaking on stage 30 to 40 times a year. And, it was just such a realization in doing all of this that like sometimes money would have been better spent with another person than me, no matter how much we tried. And really getting clear, one of the things we added in is like, if a client does want us to take them on as an agency, because we do that very quietly now, we will work with a few people, the numbers have to back out. So if they come to me and they're like, Amber, these are our numbers are crazy insane, I used to believe it. And I'm like, okay, well, if the numbers are that good, then, give us a budget. We'll go out and we'll test it with our affiliate partners. We will do prepaid drops, essentially prepaid promotions. And if the numbers back out like you say they will, then we'll consider going into a relationship with you, not on a retainer. Because I also don't want to be tied to you, where we have this relationship. I want your numbers to speak for themselves. I know I will speak for myself. My team will push it to the limit. But if your offer is not backing out, or you're really difficult and horrible to work with, I want to have the ability to walk away, without this being an issue. So I think that's the other thing is like, if you're listening, is when a client's coming to you, a potential client, like, am I the next best decision for them? Because if you're looking at it, you're like, actually, your numbers just aren't where we need them to be. And I see this happen all the time, especially with paid media buyers, where they're like, oh yeah, totally, bro. We can blow it up for you, dude. Like 100%. And then you give them all this money and they're like, actually, your offer just doesn't back out the way we need it to be. It's like, then you're not the next best thing that I should have spent money on, right? I should have spent money on a better copywriter, a conversion rate expert, whatever, right? We should have spent the money there. And so that's something that I've just learned over time, is like really thinking to myself. And that's why I think I've had longevity in the space, is really looking at my clients' money and saying, am I the next best decision? And then if I am the next best decision, am I really the right person to be supporting you in this? Or is there somebody better? And if I'm going to be taking you on as an agency client, do your numbers do what you say you're going to do? Because a lot of people come in with these numbers and it looks super inflated and they've only tested it on their own internal list. And so actually that's not really, you didn't really test it, right? And so I'm taking on the risk of bringing it to my affiliate partners. So these are just things that I've learned over time that have been big mistakes of mine.
Now, there is a question in my mind right now. And I think that, as you know, when I met you, we were doing the launch event for my new product, right? And I do believe I'm going to want to get in touch with you and learn about this once we build out a few more of the systems. It's a brand new company. But if anybody has listened this far, then there is something about what you said that's obviously captivated them. Obviously, they're going to want to know more about you. What's the best way for people to find out about either your masterminds, your one-on-ones, like your agency services, which you said is quiet? Maybe I just blew it up by saying it here, but what's the gateway for people to learn more about Amber Spears?
Yeah, man, listen, I always tell people, like, you can always email me. Like, I'm an open book, like Amber at eastfifthavenue.com, East spelled out, 5th Avenue fully spelled out. That's my affiliate marketing, like, agency education company. We have everything from finding you a rock star A-level talent affiliate manager. They'll be generating 6 to 7 figures a month for you. We can find that person, hire, train, recruit them for you. We can also do consulting. We take equity in certain projects very, very quietly. My strength really is in health, wellness, educational, and financial offers. That's like where I have the biggest Rolodex. We have over 5,000 affiliate partners that we can do. Some people come to us because they have a really successful affiliate program. They just need more introduction. So we have an introduction service, matchmaking service that we can do. So to me, it's like really what you need. We also have, like I mentioned, our membership, which is 250 companies active right now and growing every single month. We meet twice a month, pitch our offers, get traffic for each other, do best practice training. So if you're interested in that, that's another really amazing component. We can train your affiliate managers for you. That's another thing that we do. And we've been doing it for 6 years. We've trained hundreds of affiliate managers now. If you have someone new or inexperienced, it's a great one. Even if you have experienced affiliate managers, it's a great one. And then, of course, my mastermind, which is where I think you see a lot of people that like and respect, Perry, JJ Virgin, anyone you can think of has been a part of my mastermind or has spoken at it or is in it. That's Mimosa Mastermind. We've had that for 7 years. That's kind of like my elite Like, it's 150 of my mentors and heroes and friends are in that. East Fifth Avenue serves between 500 and 750 clients a year on that side, but it's varying levels. Minimum of six figures, all the way up to, we have 9-figure plus companies in there. So just kind of depends on how much you need. We may not be the team for you. We may not be the people to help, but certainly if you hit our characteristics and you're in that wheelhouse and you have those specific needs, we're a really good option for you to look at. And we really care about our clients and we really deeply care about their results. So it's another reason why I've never been interested in working with 100 people at a time. Like I can't affect 100 people at a time at the level that I want to do. So that's another reason why I'm really excited about getting our marketing going, because I'm going to be able to not just do referrals or people seeing me from stage. It's going to be people are going to be hearing me talking on things like this. And they're going to be like, okay, I'm the one, I want to work with her. That's never even been to Affiliate Summit East or traffic and conversion or, anything else. So I'm excited for that. But if you have questions, you can always email me. Like I'm like, email me, dude. I really do have a passion about helping people increase their reach and their revenue with partnerships. Because at the end of the day, it's relationships. It's really fun making money with your friends and heroes and mentors. It really is. And it can be a very stable, really, really amazing source of revenue for your business that no algorithm will ever take away from you. Like if you have a good relationship with your affiliates, you pay them well, you take care of them, you take care of their customers, this is something that will last the rest of your business, right? And into the next business that you do and the next business that you do, which is my favorite part of it.
Amber, you have opened my eyes in so many ways that I've always thought of affiliates as like a little side thing for a little cash injection here and there, maybe. The way you describe it, completely flip that thought on its head, and I will definitely be in touch with you for my own business.
Hell yeah, dude, I'd love to. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now,
you dropped a tiny bomb earlier about launching a YouTube channel. Is that live yet? And if not, when will it be live, and how can people find that?
I'm at Liz Germain's on me right now. I'm in the research phase with her. She's like, I want you watching all kinds of YouTube videos and people you admire, and then you need to make your channel and make me an admin. So it's not up yet, but if they want to learn more about me, another thing that I give people that take the time to actually listen is if you go to eastfifthavenue.com/gift, we have a 19-point checklist that I run a lot of my clients through to kind of see like where you're at, right? Like, are you like at 100,000 a month or less? What are the next best things you should be doing? Are you at $1 million or more? Just kind of, it's a really juicy checklist. It's not just one of those dinky free ebook things that I freaking hate doing, like watching other people do, where I'm just like, that's not valuable. It's actually really valuable, some good stuff. So if they want to opt into that, they can. And then I'm going to be doing a personal brand YouTube, so you can eventually just search my name and find it. So yeah, I'm early too, dude. I'm learning too, which is cool. Like I told you, that's when I saw your stuff. I was like, I need to talk to Ken because I want his setup. It's so good. Like it's like it solves it for someone like me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to be your affiliate.
I absolutely want to work with you too, and we will have this conversation. That event, by the way, was ridiculously successful for us. It was a market test event when we met. But this is about you. What I want to do
You're the
is
belle of the ball, dude. Just so you know, belle of the ball. I heard so much about it.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Yeah, everybody was talking about it, right? It was crazy.
Yeah, dude.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, check the description down below. All the links we talked about, her email, getting that checklist, everything else, we're going to put that below. If you're listening on the podcast, then that's going to be in the show notes. Amber, thank you so much. I personally enjoyed this a lot. You're very different from most of the other people who I bring on here who capitalize on social media and do a little bit of other things. You went really deep into affiliate marketing, and my mind is kind of blown about what's possible when you have the right team and the right systems in place. So thank you for that. Any last words of advice you want to close with?
No, man, I hope that people try it. I think that we have, especially as business owners, there's a feeling that we're in it alone. And there's just something so rewarding about growing your business and growing it with other entrepreneurs that serve your same target audience, and about rowing together, about knowing that, if tomorrow your ad account gets suspended or shut down, that you can still make money and pay your team in a way that is actually very congruent with somebody who's walking through the fire with you. And it's just something that I recommend that people try when they have the ability to focus on it and give it a good go, especially if you have the structure. Like if your offers are already working on paid, it's a really great channel to add on. And if you just add on, one really good trained person to take on the things that you're already doing and bringing them to affiliate partners, especially people that like, and respect or want to do business with in the future, like it's a really beautiful thing to add. And, Jay Abraham said this in 2020, right when the pandemic started, but he said, someone asked him, like, what would be something you'd be doing right now? And he said, I'd be doing affiliate marketing because it's a recession proof revenue stream. And it really is, like typically if we have a traditional affiliate relationship, you're going to send customers to me, clients to me, eyeballs to me, opt-ins to me, and then I'm going to collect the money and then I'll pay you. It's very different than if you're just running your credit card on Google or YouTube ads or Facebook ads or what have you, trying to just get views and getting them to translate. So that takes a lot of the risk off of you. And also you have a much better idea of targeting, because if you know who they're serving as a customer, you're not trying to warm up your pixel and do all the other stuff. It's a smart thing to add for any business, especially going into a time of great uncertainty. And I recommend that you look at it. And I'd be happy to help people if I'm the right fit to support them in that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Again, links below. Do check out Amber Spears. And I appreciate this time together. And for everybody else, I will see you next time.